Welcome to Tech Conversations with Grace Chng. In this podcast, I talk to Sumir Bhatia, Lenovo's Chief Commercial Officer for Asia Pacific. We discuss the importance of having the right datasets as enterprises begin to deploy AI applications.
Hello, Sumir. For the past few years, enterprises were focused on training large foundation models. That phase, which is also continuing today, is capital intensive, R&D driven, and dominated by players like OpenAI and Google DeepMind. Now, most enterprises are not training frontier models or foundation models. They are deploying now, right, in AI Copilot, embedding AI agents, running RAG systems, automating customer systems, and processing documents at scale. So I want to talk about this part, not the frontier models, more about the inferencing part. But before we jump into the discussion, Sumir, perhaps you take a little bit and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Grace. Thank you for the opportunity. So I'm Sumir Bhatia. I'm the president for the Infrastructure Solution Group at Lenovo, based in beautiful Singapore. I've been in Singapore for quite some time, and I look after Asia Pacific, and Infrastructure Solution is my focus area.
Oh, great. That's great. So every user interaction today is an inference event. So every time a customer asks a chatbot a question, or an AI agent writes a report, or a doctor receives AI-assisted diagnosis, inferencing has taken place.
Right.
Now, inferencing, therefore, is crucial for companies, right? This is where the money is being made. So in today's podcast, instead of talking about the glamour of model training and frontier models, I want to ask a more grounded question.
Right.
What does it really mean to run AI at scale?
Right.
And where AI inferencing is everywhere.
Yeah.
Right. So here are some 5 questions that I want that business leaders are thinking about today. And let's start with the number 1 is, with organizations beginning to deploy AI, are their systems able to handle AI at scale today?
Yeah, so let me actually first go into your part about the inference, right, and the growth. And you're absolutely right. There was an inflection point where, the large GPUs, infrastructure training model, and I think the inflection point has happened 2025, 2026. And today the prediction, we did a CIO playbook where we've touched about 3,000 CIOs around the world, about 1,000 here in Asia Pacific, asking these questions on AI, and 2/3 believe that's the area, which is the inference. So there's been a big movement out there.
Right.
So that's absolutely a growth. And you talk about scale, absolutely. But the scale it's very important that if you want scale, you need to start small to go big, which basically means that you start looking at, where do you want your inference from? Where is it of value? What data sets do you have, right? And very often, we always say is, look at the low-hanging fruit.
Yep.
And sometimes that low-hanging fruit's a watermelon, right? Because you get the outcome, you want value out of it, right? Yeah. And it's moving away from the science projects to the inference and where value brings in. So it's about starting small and growing. And most important is also having the right partner to help, because there's a lot of things of experience. There'll be some people that actually are ahead of the game. You trip when we're starting to walk, so that's experience that a good vendor, a good partner could actually provide.
But now the pilots are over, right? And now people are deploying.
Yes. So look, pilots are, I wouldn't say pilots are over per se. I think pilots are important, where people take, what is a pilot, right? A pilot is where they want to look at a small section of a data. And hopefully what typically a pilot should be, there should be some value and output to it.
Right? So you have to look at which is the application, or which
Correct.
area
which
you want
area
to automate.
you want to go. But end of the day, basis of what I said is, you need to know what value do you want to actually bring out of these AI projects, right? And it's also very, very important who's doing what, making sure that the data, there's governance involved in it. So those are the very, very important aspects which are critical.
Do you need to stress test that? How do you stress test?
So, look, the way we say is that you start small, you grow, you obviously go and stress test to the maximum, right? But what is maximum and what aspect? Is it the whole organization? So I'll give you one example, like a lot of applications that people actually come up with AI, some sort of application within the organization. Adoption today is very low. Like you come up with something great, which is going to bring employee productivity. Adoption is still very, very low. But could it be an organization, suddenly everybody says, wow, this is really helping me. And it suddenly goes top. So you do stress test the systems, you do stress cost, because the more you use it, there's a cost element to it. So it's you look at the stress test in a maximum elasticity, but you do also look at realistic. And again, look, when you go in for an AI project, Grace, this is not about bringing a bulldozer in. Let's take the new infrastructure and let's go build everything. And let's it's like, give me one AI, give me two AIs. That's not what it's about. It's about being very focused. And this is something that, again, if I could just add this, when you think back and, we've been in the industry for a while, when the cloud wave was happening, everybody jumped into it. There were departments going into it, departments putting credit cards in, and it soon just went out of control. I kind of call it was like Hotel California. You can check in anytime you want, but you can't check out. That's what happened to the cloud. And there were so many VPNs that were being paid for that it was out of control. You can't do that here. You can't do that over here. You need to make sure that there's governance because it's data. And this is very, very important aspect of projects.
Right. I want to come back to the costs a little bit later, but I want to jump into AI inferencing anywhere, everywhere, 24/7. So what does this mean to companies? What do they, to organizations? What do they have to do to be prepared for this phase?
Okay. And without being too repetitive, and I might sound like a broken record, but this is so important. Organizations need to know what they want to do with AI. And what does that mean? What is the outcome that you want with a specific data set? So because today data is very siloed, right? So it's very, very important what they need to do. Once they have that, yes, it is always on. And I know you said you're going to come back on cost, but if I can just talk a little.
Jump into it.
Yeah, I'll just jump into it in terms of cost. Now, inference cost in the lifetime of inference, it's typically 2-3 years, let's say, all right, before they move into some other app and so forth, is about 15x more than a training model. Now, I'll give you one example. Let's say a mid-range training model costs $10 million. Of course, the large frontiers are a lot more. And all. Let's talk about a typical smaller training model, which talks up about $10 million. Let's think of a company that has an application that has 10 million users, okay, which is very doable, right? Let's say there is a query per day, right, of 10 million queries, right? And they cost $0.01, just $0.01 per query, per token or query. You're talking of a cost of $100,000 a day, right? So work out the maths, that's $3 million. In 4 months, those pennies have gone more than the training model. Now, okay, this is an extreme example. Anybody can actually look at what it is for their companies, but that's where it is. So inference cost in the lifespan is going to be more. And this is where I go back to my point. You have to be very careful. What are you doing? What is that outcome you want? To your earlier question about scale. So it's very, very important to have the planning, have the governance. If you have everyone running into these little science projects and putting it out, there would be a lot of, forget about stress tests. There'll be a lot of stress, from cost, because it needs a lot of planning, Grace.
So the cost moves from capex to operating costs.
It does. But, I know a lot of people talk about cost, right? But is AI inferencing a cost model, or is it a profit model?
Yeah.
I mean, let's think about this, right? Everyone's like, yes, it is a cost, but what is the outcome of that cost? You want an outcome. Now, I had this conversation with someone saying that, in employees, if I bring employee efficiency, it's not going to be touching, like, this AI project does not touch my bottom line. And I question that. If you bring employee efficiency by 50%, 60%, for that employee to do something more, which is more profit generating, isn't that to the bottom line? Right? So I think everyone needs to take this aspect of that, I'm spending on AI. No, you're profiting from AI. I have this, the way it's turning, the way it's changing, it's not, if you're going down the AI, but it's when.
Yes.
So there's in companies, there's two stages you can be in. You can either be a disruptor or you can be disrupted.
Right.
Obviously, companies want to be a disruptor. So now we're talking about profit. How will you be with customer retention, right? And I can, spend hours talking about some of those things, and I know we don't have that much of time. But there's customer retention, there's aspect of efficiency. And if you actually bring that in and are able to go to the market and be strong, you're disrupting it. But don't take it for granted. The small companies are coming, the innovators. So even if you're a disruptor, if you just blink, you can get disrupted.
Right. So when organizations look at, a pilot is always easy to manage, small, easy to do. Yeah. If you want to scale to organization-wide, what needs to happen infrastructurally? Do they need to change their systems? What do they need to do?
So going back, select what you want to do, select what data sets you want to do, start small, right, to go big. Yes, certain infrastructure is required. We have this hybrid environment of hybrid AI infrastructure. A lot of it is on-prem. So let me give you an example. If a customer, a lot of the AI is going to move to the edge. And what that really means is you want inference where, right at that point, right, whether it's security. I walk into an airline lounge. They know I'm a frequent traveler. They should, look at the value that I would get. They immediately know that I'm a regular traveler, that he's coming in or she's coming in. Let's give that sort of special experience, right? That goes a long way, whether in a hotel. Security, take for example, security. Right at the edge, you have, whatever a security issue coming in a hotel or an airport, you want that inference right there. You want it to, even small latency. So it's all coming to the edge. So yes, do you need some infrastructure there? Yes, absolutely. But remember again, avoid that it's not just a cost, it's an outcome, it's a profit center.
Right, but if you're moving to the edge, that means that your data is going to be on-prem most of the time.
Correct.
So what would the cloud serve then? Because going in and out of the cloud also costs money.
Correct, you're absolutely right. And that's where I was going. So when you want inference at the edge, you want it right over there at the edge. The cloud serves is that you can move things in cloud which you don't need immediate. So it is a hybrid environment. A hybrid environment which actually covers the cloud, edge, data center, on-prem. And that's what we believe. That's where it's going. And that's the value that Lenovo actually brings in with a complete hybrid solution. Right. So it is really about, yes, does the customer have to change something? Yes, there will be some level of investment. Obviously, when there's investment, there's an outcome. But, here's another very cool thing, Grace. It's actually a very good question. Many organizations have not planned for this. Yeah. So what happens is your competitor has come up with a very, very, new product or new way to touch customers. Hey, I want to do that. How do I do this? There's very few CIOs that have come in and said, here, Grace, say you're a CEO, here's $10 million and go do something in AI. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
So we also help when it comes to the investment start. We have something called TrueScale. It's as a service model. So for example, you could actually take the entire AI stack from infrastructure to software, services also included into it, consulting, that actually comes in as a stack, and it's an OpEx model.
Okay.
So it's pay as you go. It's got the elasticity. So it really works beautifully where somebody is used to, the cloud elasticity OpEx model, but has the versatility of actually on-prem and the cloud.
So I think this is where CTOs face an issue.
Yes, they do.
Because they are always planning how many servers and how many cloud services, etc. Suddenly, all of this has changed.
Drinking from a fire hydrant, right? And
right.
What do you do?
So the hybrid model works in this.
It does, and that option of going CapEx or option of going on OpEx model is something we can actually provide.
Yeah, so you talk about the hybrid model, and you're best suited for this. Your Lenovo laptops, of course, serves the edge services that you buy. How do they fit into the organization's overall structure? How do they affect network load, cloud inferencing costs, etc.?
Right. So to answer that question, let me just go into what we called, I talked about hybrid infrastructure, but let me talk a little bit about the hybrid AI, and that's what we're really focusing on. So to explain hybrid AI, you think of basically three foundation models. So you have the public, right, in which we know the GPTs, and we all know we've used those extensive models, but a lot of the data is in the public. Then you have the enterprise. And obviously that needs a lot of security. It needs very specific focus in areas of profitability within the organization. And the third is the personal foundation, right? So you have public, you have enterprise, and you have the personal. Really, actually, all of these actually have to work together to really make an optimum AI model, right? So when you talk about, our AI PCs or at the edge, and let's talk about specific devices, which is personal to, yourself and me. This is a personal device and I want to bring in efficiency. To use that, you would actually bring in efficiency within those applications and help. Like we have a personal assistant that we've launched recently at CES, the Kira, right? Which actually brings in your own personal productivity and across devices. So I can move right in from my phone to my ThinkPad. It knows exactly what I want. It knows how
has context.
Correct. It has context to me, and it brings efficiency to me. But now I want something which is going to actually bring out something out in the public site, or I want something which is a company-wide information. Now, I may be in HR. Let's say if I'm in HR, do I want, say for example, I want to know what's my organization structure? I can get that. But maybe I'm not at the level where I'm able to get the salaries of everyone. Right? That's only to a few people. How do you manage that from a personal, the enterprise? And guess what? I as a HR person, now I'm also doing talent acquisition and putting the bench. I want access to the web and global. So how do I manage that in a secure manner, right? So my data is not compromised, and that is where the hybrid AI comes in, and that brings in efficiency of individuals to bring up the productivity.
Right. So AI hybrid is the one takeaway you want to give. Be certain of the kind of project application that you want for AI to work on. And the third would be?
So again, the project is the governance around it. It needs to be, so I'll tell you on the CIO playbook that we did, number one aspect that came of the latest CIO report is governance. It's not a technology, it's not that. It's coming up that we want to put in governance, which is to me absolutely fantastic. And CIOs need to look at that. Otherwise, this is going to be all over the place. Lastly, one other thing that I would like to actually add, a big takeaway, make sure you have the right partner. At Lenovo, right, one of the only companies on the planet that actually, when I talked about the hybrid AI, right from what we could like to say is right from the pocket to the cloud, to the edge, right from devices, from smartphones to devices to infrastructure. We have that, as well as an AI practice, which actually can go through all of that. Skills is always an issue, right?
Yes.
So we've got services teams that can actually come and give you those directions. Last but not least, what I leave, and I'm going to be repetitive here, to all CIOs, start small to go big. And I think that's really important. Be very planned, be very focused, and call us.
Thank you very much, Sumir.
Thank you.
Thank
Pleasure.
you.
Thank you, Grace. That was for having me over.
Thank you for listening to us. You can listen to this podcast on Spotify, Apple, and on YouTube.